Hey, how's it going? George Anderson here with a quick video for you today on the subject of weight loss. More specifically, using tracking apps to help you lose weight or maintain a healthy weight or otherwise keep an eye on what you're consuming. MyFitnessPal seems to be the one that most people use. I'm sure there are plenty of other apps out there that do something similar, but this one seems to be fairly ubiquitous and certainly talked about in many of the groups that I am a member of or curate. So I'm going to kind of use that one as my reference point. But I want to talk in this little video about using calorie tracking or macro tracking apps, technology, whatever, to help you lose weight, but also, and how I believe it can be very helpful, because it obviously does work, otherwise they wouldn't still be around. But they can also fall down, and there's some holes in it, I believe. And I want to draw your attention to some of these potential pitfalls, and because they're pluggable. They're pluggable. You can do something about it, which is the good news. So you can have your cake and eat it. Perhaps not the best metaphor to use, but let's get stuck into it. So MyFitnessPal, first of all, what is it? It's an app where you just put you input the food that you're about to, or you have just eaten, into it, and I believe you can zap barcodes, or you can input recipes, and it will tell you how many calories, how many grams of sugar, how many grams of fat, carbohydrates, protein, and vitamins and minerals as well. And it will tell you how much you're eating, and it will also give you a daily target to aim for. So if you're trying to lose weight, it might give you a target of, say, 1,600 calories, which might end up being a 200, 300, 400 calorie deficit. The theory there being that if you're in a calorie deficit for long enough, then you're going to lose weight. And then, of course, you can exercise, and you can either choose to eat those calories as bonus calories, or not, as many people choose to do or choose not to do. So that's the basic premise, and it obviously does mean that you're then having to count things, weigh things potentially, or at the very least, you're having to input this information to the app so that it can track it. It doesn't just sit there watching you through your smartphone thinking, okay, right, I can see what George is about to eat, that Mars bar there. I'm going to just top that. It looks like it's the Duo size. He's had both of them, so I'll put that in. You actually have to do something. You have to input the information there. So that in itself, I believe, is one of the kind of the magical qualities of it. That's one of the reasons why it works, because you have your awareness drawn to what you're eating, what you're doing. And oftentimes what happens when we're trying to make some changes to our behaviors, trying to break some habits, create some new ones, the reason why it's hard to do is because we're not always aware of what we're doing. So if you're thinking to yourself, everything I eat, I'm going to log, then it makes you more aware of what that is. And then perhaps that makes you think to yourself, okay, now, actually, I'm trying to lose weight here. I've told myself I'm not going to have too much chocolate. Do I really need this second half of my Mars Duo? Maybe not. And then perhaps you make the decision there to not have the thing that you were going to eat. So that's kind of one reason why I believe tracking, whether you're doing that with an app or just good old-fashioned pen and paper like we used to do back in the day, keeping a food diary, and some people still prefer to do it that way, then it just creates that extra level of awareness. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you may still find yourself doing it thinking, my goodness, I didn't mean to inhale that chocolate bar or that cake or biscuit. It just happened. But at least it gives you another level of, another chance, and increases your chances rather of having that awareness. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, sometimes, and I had this discussion a while ago with, there was a thing on the news recently about whether or not fast food chains, takeaway outlets, should have the calorie content and the fat and sugar content of their produce, their menu offerings, on display at the point of sale. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And some people say, oh no, it's terrible. If you're going to have a takeaway, then you're going to have a takeaway. You're not doing that because you want to make a healthy choice. But here's the thing. If you know what you're eating, then it does make you more informed about what you're going to go for. And actually, you might decide to yourself, well, I'm going to be unhealthy anyway. But my God, I didn't realize that was like my entire day's worth of calories in that one meal. Oh my goodness, I'm going to make a different choice. It can still influence the decisions that you make. And so MyFitnessPal or whatever you use, if you can see, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that like having that whole portion of this meal that I was about to eat would be like 1,000 calories. You know what, I probably don't actually need to have all that. And if I want to keep myself in balance, in line with my goals here, I'm just gonna have like half that amount, because I never feel like I want to finish it anyway. I only finish it because it's there. So it just gives you that information that you can then use to decide if you're going to, you know, change what you're planning on eating. So, you know, it's like knowledge is power, right? If you know what it is, if you have that information, then you get to make better quality decisions. Doesn't mean you'll always make those choices, but at least it means you've got you've got all the facts. You've got all the facts, right? That's the important thing. There, I think the two main reasons why things like MyFitnessPal work if you're trying to lose weight. Now, there are some downsides to that. And the other thing that I find really common is that if you go on a bit of a blowout and you do decide to, even if you're aware or not aware of what you're doing, you just kind of go a bit off the rails with your food, there is a temptation to just not log it, because it's a bit depressing to see how, you know, not it's one thing to kind of mess up with your diet, but it's another thing to kind of, you know, input that and crystallize it and say, you know what, yes, world, yes, MyFitnessPal, I have made a horrendous mistake here, and you know, I'm sorry, I'm guilty as charged. You know what, if you don't say anything, if you don't put it in there, then did it really happen? And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have, because it feels bad to put these things. It's like maybe you feel guilty for eating the thing in the first place, and then you got to feel guilty all over again by inputting it into MyFitnessPal. But if you are tracking your calories, and I would still urge you to do it, just to go through that pain, that discomfort of logging and tracking what you're doing, even if it's not such a good thing, because then you can see over time how much better you get. If you haven't got the metrics, you haven't got the tracking, then you can't change, you can't measure, you can't see if you're improving. And you might have like 3 days out of 7 where you go a bit off the rails. But if you can bring that down to 2 or 1 day off the rails a week where you just don't quite manage to stick to the diet, then that's improvement, that's progress. And that is gonna get you closer to where you wanna be, rather than just ignoring it and pretending it didn't happen. Because you might be able to forget about it mentally, but your body doesn't work that way. Calories, sugar, fats is still going into your system. It still has to be dealt with. It can't just forget about it. Unfortunately, that'd be pretty cool though, right? If you could take some kind of magic potion that meant your body could just forget about a horrendous meal that you just ate. But you had the memories of it, so you still got to enjoy it. Anyway, maybe one thing for the future there. So that's one of the problems. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about with in regards to weight loss and tracking calories and so on, it works on logic. So it says, hey, look, you want to lose weight, you got to chop your calories down to 1,800 a day. And by the way, my personal belief is there's more to health and well-being than just chopping your calories down. So if you want to live a healthier, more energized life, then you do have to be looking at the quality of what you're eating, not just the quantity. But that's a bit of a side note. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe that should be what this video really is all about. Maybe that's the one thing you take away from this, that it's about the quality, because that's the thing that's not just going to influence your long-term results, but your short-term and medium-term, how you feel and how you perform. But anyway, it's still based on logic. It's like you eat 1,800 calories a day and you'll lose weight. Makes sense. We know it makes sense. We know that we should be eating more apples and less bags of sugar, less chocolate, less biscuits, less cake. We know we should be doing that, but sugar isn't a logical thing. I mean, it's just a thing, right? It's just, it doesn't care whether you eat it or not. But when you're in the moment of making that decision, you're not always thinking straight. You're not always thinking logically. It doesn't make sense to be on a diet trying to lose weight and then still scarfing your way through a box of biscuits. It doesn't make sense even at the time that you're doing it, because you're not thinking straight. You're thinking very emotionally, and you're probably using sugar at that point. And this isn't always, I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about like people in general, if you will. We use sugar a lot of the time because it gives us an immediate feeling of safety and certainty and makes us feel good. And when we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and under threat, then that's a pretty cool thing to have. We can, just like that, snap our fingers, grab a very easily accessible chocolate bar, tromp away, that feels better. Even if it doesn't feel good in the long term and doesn't do our goals any good. Long-term goals, that's like over there, right? We want to feel good now. We want to feel safe and secure, and we want to feel good. I mean, sugar releases dopamine into our bloodstream, so we actually feel really good. We feel fantastic. We feel like, oh yeah, oh my goodness, I really enjoyed that. Especially things like chocolate, very addictive. And you're getting that immediate hit, and we know that. We have this connection in our minds. I know, I can guarantee, I can create this little bubble of safety and certainty and feel good feels right now, just by doing this one simple thing. I can take control. Nobody's going to restrict me. MyFitnessPal up yours. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say about how many calories a day I should be eating. And this might not be a conscious conversation, or maybe it is, but it's certainly happening on a subconscious level a lot of the time. And MyFitnessPal works on logic. Most diets work on logic, but we are human beings and we work on emotion a lot of the time. Nutrition, it's not the same as just saying, well, I just need to do X, Y, and Z and I'm going to get results A, B, and C. It doesn't work like that. We have to factor this in and start understanding how we respond in different situations. And find some alternative endings that don't include sugar or alcohol or whatever else we decide to kind of make ourselves feel better by consuming. So often it means getting upstream of the problem and looking at, well, where does this problem start in the first place? How can I help myself before I get to that point? Because maybe it's always at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I got that energy slump. That's when I start feeling a little bit sluggish and I feel like I need to have that pick me up. I'm a bit stressed from the work day or the school run or whatever it is, and therefore I'm going to just have something, and I always fall down. Even though I wake up in the morning, feel like I'm going to have a great day today, and I'm going to be a really good student of MyFitnessPal and nutrition. I'm going to be perfect. By the time that rolls around, you might start to be feeling very different. Same thing in the evening. You get the kids to bed, or you've had a long, hard day, and eventually you get to sit down and crash on the couch. What do? You pour yourself a glass of wine, or you get the ice cream out because you need that reward. It's not just about logic. I do believe that things like calorie counting, understanding your macros, it just gives you a greater sense of awareness, and it means that you can't be kidding yourself about how much you've eaten or how little, or you know, I only had a couple of those biscuits. They were only small, but each one had 150 calories. You know, if you know that information, you can stop kidding yourself and start telling yourself the facts and making more informed choices. There we go. More questions and answers probably from that 12-minute video, but hopefully you found some use of it, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, your experiences. Do you use MyFitnessPal? Has it worked for you? What have you done to make it effective and not become addicted and a slave to it? Because I know that's another problem that some people report back. They feel like they're too reliant upon MyFitnessPal. It almost becomes an addiction in itself and don't feel comfortable or fully in control. So what have your experiences been? I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, and I will be back again with another video. I am fairly sure maybe I'll do another video on the whole self-sabotage thing, which is kind of all wrapped up in this anyway, at some point soon. But let me know what your thoughts are. Bye for now.